So hello friends, so now I am going to do the continuation of the oogenesis. So now I am going to start. So these are the tertiary follicles, as you can see. Now you can see that around the 7 day of reproductive cycle, you can see that most of the tertiary follicles degenerate, but one of the tertiary follicles you can see that matures into graphene follicle, and that portion that I want to write. So that portion have written that around the 7 day of reproductive cycle, one of the tertiary follicles increases in size to form a mature follicle, and this takes place under the influence of the two hormones FHS and LH, and also that you can see and the remaining tertiary follicles degenerate. So the one thing that I am to written, so all those portions I have written. So now I am to discuss you about the structure of mature graphene follicle. So first of all, that as you have already understood that the antrum is made in the tertiary follicle, but now we have to see that that in mature graphene follicle that this oocyte is present at one part. Now here that there are some granulosa cells. All these are granulosa cells, but all the granulosa cells that immediately surround this primary oocyte and the zona pellucida, and those granulosa cells are known as cells of corona radiata or corona radiata cells, and that portion I want to write. So that portion I have written, that is the layers of cells, the layer of cells, so here surrounding this primary oocyte and this zona pellucida known as corona radiata cells. So therefore the layer of cells immediately surrounding the oocyte and zona pellucida called corona radiata cells. Now you can see here that this is the, so here oocyte, so this is the oocyte and this is the zona pellucida, and these are the corona radiata cells. Now you can see here that this oocyte, so here projects into the that is antrum. Basically that this cavity is the antrum, and the projection of this oocyte, zona pellucida and corona radiata cells into the antrum is known as cumulus oophorus. That portion I want to write. So therefore that you can see that is the projection of corona radiata cells, oocyte and zona pellucida into the antrum called cumulus oophorus. See, so here that this is the oocyte, so this is the oocyte, zona pellucida, and these are the corona radiata cells, and the projection into this fluid antrum called cumulus oophorus. Now here, so here that this is the wall, so here this is the wall of so here follicle, and now you can, so here this is the wall of follicle, and now you can see here that this oocyte, zona pellucida and corona radiata cells, all these structures, that is they attach at a specific point of the wall of the graphene follicle, and that attachment of this oocyte, zona pellucida and cells of corona radiata into the wall of mature graphene follicle is known as discus proligirus. So that portion I have written, the area of attachment of primary oocyte, zona pellucida and corona radiata cells to the wall of follicle is called discus proligirus. So here that this is the primary oocyte, zona pellucida and cells of corona radiata, and this is the wall of follicle, and this attachment, that this attachment is known as, so here discus proligirus. So now I want to discuss about theca interna, but before discussing that you should know that, so here this is a mature graphene follicle, and here, and you know that these are the membrane granulosa cells. So yes, I have drawn a rough diagram. So these are the membrane granulosa cells, membrane granulosa. So these are the membrane granulosa cells, and these are the stromal cells, so here surrounding the membrane granulosa cells. So as you have known that this mature graphene follicle, that it increases in size, it increases in size. So here due to this increase in size, that this, so here stromal cells which surround this membrane granulosa cells, they are converted to a layer that is theca interna, condense and form a covering layer around a membrane granulosa known as theca interna, and that portion I want to write. Now that portion I've written, let's see, that due to increase in the follicle size, so here that mature graphene follicle, definitely that is the size will increase, that due to increase in the follicle size, the stromal cells, these are the stromal cells surrounding the membrane granulosa cells get, so here condensed to form theca interna. And the most important thing is that this theca interna causes the release of estrogen, and then this estrogen is responsible for estrogen, and this estrogen, so here causes ovulation. I think about ovulation you studied in your NEET UG journey also. And during that ovulation or just before that ovulation, the first meiotic division will be completed. Now just here that you can see here that is one extra covering layer formed around this theca interna, and this is known as theca externa, just simple. So here also I am going to show this. So this is theca interna, and just around theca interna, that is one new layer formed as a covered layer for the theca interna, and this is known as theca externa. So this is theca externa. That's all. So friends, now so I've written that is outside theca interna, that is another covering layer formed, that is theca externa. So here that you can see simply that outside the theca interna, that is theca externa is present. Now that is a very important concept regarding, so here ovulation, that here that inside this mature graphene follicle, that this primary oocyte, what is, sorry, the oocyte, so here present, that is here, it is at the primary stage, primary oocyte. Now that this primary oocyte that is inside this mature graphene follicle completes the meiosis 1, and through this meiosis 1, that is second polar body and first polar body form. Now from this mature graphene follicle, that this secondary oocyte released, and that released secondary oocyte is known as ovum. So this is the picture. So here that is a granulosa cells in the wall of follicle, and from this antrum, that is secondary oocyte release, and this is ovum, and that release of it is basically ovulation process. Now I am going to write in detail. So friends, so that portion written, the follicle gradually increases in size and finally bursts to release ovum, and this process is called ovulation, and this, so here estrogen contributes ovulation. So therefore that you can see that is the release of ovum. Now there is one more important thing is that the ovum till now it is not contributed, it is not fertilizers, or till now that is sperm does not reach the ovum, that this ovum remains at the second meiosis, that does not complete its second meiosis until sperm comes in contact with ovum, and only that is when sperm and ovum come in contact with each other, then only the second meiosis of ovum, completion of second meiosis of ovum occurs. So therefore then only second meiosis is completed. So that's all about the, so here oogenesis. Now I am going to write the definition of oogenesis. You will understand and you will get interest. So before writing the definition of oogenesis, that first of all that you should know that if I start, so here that is primordial germ cells. So first of all that is primordial germ cells, that is they migrate from this yolk sac and they reach the female gonad to become oogonia, and then this oogonia, so here undergo, so here a mitosis and enlargement to form primary oocyte, and this primary oocyte, so here does not complete its first meiosis until puberty, and also until estrogen hormone is not released. Basically three parts. So you have primordial germ cells, you have to remember, and primary oocyte. Now here that inside mature graphene follicle, you can see here that this so here primary oocyte completes its first meiosis to form secondary oocyte. So this you have to remember, secondary oocyte, and then so here mature ovum is released. Now, and that process by which that these primordial germ cells develop into primary oocyte, secondary oocyte, and also mature ovum, and that process of maturation is known as oogenesis. So therefore that portion I have written, that is the process of maturation and differentiation of primordial germ cells to oogonia, primary oocytes, secondary oocytes, and to mature ova in the female genital tract. This is known as, sorry, not ovulation, sorry, this is oogenesis, oogenesis, sorry. So this is the definition of oogenesis. Now all the portions that I have taught you, summary is given in this book also. So first of all, that you should know that that is primordial germ cells, as I have mentioned, that is primordial germ cells, they form in yolk cell and they migrate. So therefore that is primordial cells migration, and they reach the female gonad to become oogonia. So here primordial germ cells in female gonad known as oogonia. So here oogonia, and also that as you have known that, so here that in females there is no testis determining factor, so therefore that is female gonad form, and so here mitosis occurs. So therefore, so here due to this mitosis, that is primordial germ cells, so here increase their number and they become enlarged to form primary oocytes. So therefore oogonia, primary oocytes. So therefore that mitosis, that means no reduction in chromosome number. Now meiosis 1 started, so therefore oogonia, so meiosis 1 started, so therefore primary oocyte, but primordial follicles, so here primary oocyte. So this is the definition that I gave you, primary oocyte plus follicular cells, that means primordial follicles. Now that is one thing that I wrote, that is the follicular cells provide nutrition to the primary oocyte, but they also prevent further meiosis of the primary oocyte, and therefore that is from birth to puberty the primary oocyte gets arrested at the prophase 1 of the meiosis 1. So therefore that is I have written, so therefore that is birth. So these are the conditions before birth, but you can see here primordial follicles arrested in prophase 1 of meiosis 1, but at puberty, as you have known that as you have understood that this, so here the follicular cells of primary follicle, they are again start to undergo mitotic division, so therefore they form secondary follicle, then so here tertiary follicle, and that is mature graphene follicle, and all these things come under ovarian cycle. Atresia growth, so here primordial follicles to secondary vesicular, all those things, and you also know that out of 4 or many tertiary follicles, only one tertiary follicle becomes mature graphene follicle, and the remaining other tertiary follicles rupture. And here, and you also know that, so about the case of ovulation, as I have shown. So here that this is the ovulation, that just before ovulation primary oocyte completes each meiosis 1 to form secondary oocyte and first polar body, and the release of secondary oocyte is known as ovulation. So therefore that portion I have written, so here secondary oocyte, first polar body, so the release is known as ovulation. So therefore, and just before ovulation the primary oocyte completes its meiosis 1 to form secondary oocyte. So therefore that is, so here fertilization, that means sperm and ovum, so therefore they have come in contact, so therefore completion of second meiosis as I have written. So therefore a completion of second meiosis of ovum when sperm and ovum come in contact with each other. That's all about the oogenesis. So this is the summary. So therefore my advice is that first you see my video and understand, then you can revise from here. That's all about the oogenesis. Thank you.